Welcome to the deep dive. Ever find yourself struggling with money decisions? Or maybe just wondering why finance stuff feels so complicated, even when you know you're smart? Well, today we're digging into The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. It's not your typical finance book. No charts predicting the next big thing, no complex formulas. It's really about us, our minds, our feelings, our own histories, and how all that shapes, every dollar decision we make. So our mission today, we want to pull out the key ideas, the big lessons from our source material, a really solid review of the book, and basically give you a shortcut to understanding Housel's main points.
Yeah, and what's great about this book, I think, is how it just cuts through all the usual finance noise. It focuses on the human side of things, which is surprisingly often kind of overlooked. Housel's main argument is pretty clear. He says doing well with money isn't really about being the smartest person in the room. Not at all. It's much more about behaving in ways that actually work for you consistently over time.
Behaving in ways that work for you.
Exactly. So financial success, he argues, it's not a hard science like physics. It's more of a soft skill. How you behave, your actions, that's actually more important than just what you know. And we'll unpack that.
Okay, right. And he doesn't just say this, he shows it. He uses these fantastic stories, right? People like Warren Buffett, obviously, but also that guy, Ronald Reed.
Oh, yeah, the janitor.
The janitor. Who quietly ended up with millions. It's amazing. And these stories, they're there to show how things like mindset, patience, how that often wins out over just pure brain power or some fancy strategy.
They're really illustrations of behavioral principles, not complicated math problems. They show how consistent habits, just doing sensible things for decades, really, that's what builds wealth.
Okay, so if the big message is behavior trumps brains, what's the first core lesson he really hammers home? For me, it was that difference between getting wealthy and staying wealthy.
Oh, absolutely. That's a huge one. Because the skills are completely different, aren't they?
Right.
Getting rich might involve taking big swings, being optimistic, maybe some aggressive investing. But staying rich, that takes something else. It takes humility. It takes frugality. And maybe most importantly, it takes knowing how to avoid screwing up badly. How to avoid those huge losses that can wipe you out.
Survival.
Yeah, Housel basically says survival is the single most important part of any financial plan. You have to stay in the game. That's priority number one.
Okay, survival is the most important part. That feels foundational.
Yeah.
But then how do you actually grow the wealth, not just protect it? His next big idea seems to tackle that. Compounding is everything.
Yeah.
We hear that word, compounding, all the time. But also really shows you what it means. Earning returns on your returns, letting money make money.
He really does. And the go-to example is Buffett, naturally. Most of his, 80 billion plus. Yeah. It didn't come from genius short-term calls. It came from investing consistently for 75 years, more than 75 years. It wasn't just smart investments. It was the discipline.
Yeah.
The discipline to just leave them alone, let them grow, let time do its thing. It really hammers home that getting rich slowly, while maybe not exciting, is often way more reliable than trying to get rich quick. It's the long game.
Right, the long game. Okay, this next one I think is maybe the most relatable, or maybe just permission-giving, reasonable, rational. He literally says, you're not a spreadsheet, you're a person. I loved that.
Yes. It's such a good line because it pushes back against this idea that we need the perfect financial strategy, mathematically speaking. That pressure to optimize every single variable. But what Housel argues, and I think it resonates with a lot of people, is that consistency is way more important than perfection. If a plan is reasonable enough that you can actually stick with it and it lets you sleep at night, even if it's not theoretically perfect on paper, that's the right plan for you.
Yeah, that really clicks. I've totally been there trying to build the perfect budget, down to the penny, and then just giving up because it felt impossible. So it feels like he's saying it's okay to be human with your money. Which kind of leads to the book itself, right? What makes it so good? It's just accessible. The writing style is clear. There's no scary jargon, no complicated models. It's all stories and examples you can actually grasp.
Exactly. And that also makes it feel timeless, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of finance books are about tactics. For now, for this market, they get outdated fast. But this book focuses on human psychology, human behavior.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really change much decade to decade. Plus, the short chapters help. You can just dip in and get something valuable.
Yeah, definitely easy to read. Now, okay, are there any downsides or critiques? Our source review mentioned that maybe some chapters feel a little repetitive, like circling back to patience, avoiding greed, those core themes. And it also points out, fairly, that this book won't tell you what to invest in. Like, no stock tips, no specific fund recommendations. It's more of a mindset manual, you could say.
Sure, and I think you could see those as critiques. Or you could see them as kind of reinforcing the book's main strength, the repetition. It drives home the core behavioral messages, the lack of specific advice. That's because it's not trying to be a tactical guide. It's intentionally focused on changing how you think about money, how you behave with it. That's its purpose.
That's a good way to frame it. So who is this really for then? Who should pick up this book or, really take these lessons to heart from our deep dive? I'd say if you've ever felt anxious about money, maybe, or if you find it hard to stick to a long-term plan, or maybe you look around and wonder why some people seem to build wealth easily while you feel stuck, or honestly, if you just want a calmer, healthier relationship with your finances, this seems perfect. Our source review gave it a solid 9 out of 10. That's a strong recommendation.
Absolutely. And if you take one big thing away from Housel, it's this really empowering idea. Success with money. It's less about what, your IQ or whatever, and much more about how you behave. And the best part, behavior. That's something you can actually change. That's the good news here.
That is good news. So thinking about all this, for you listening, just remember that key insight. Behavior is king when it comes to your money.
And maybe, as you mull this over, here are 3 questions to ask yourself, kind of drawn from Housel's ideas. First, think about the money beliefs you grew up with, maybe from your family. Are they honestly still helping you now? Second, how much risk do you really need to take? Not want to take, but need to take to reach your goals comfortably. And third, this is a big one. Are you setting up your financial life trying to impress other people? Or are you trying to build a life that feels peaceful to you?
Those are powerful questions, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. Your relationship with money. It's one of the longest relationships you'll ever have, so, try to make it a good one, take care of your mind, and take care of your money.